Hey everyone, I'm Colton Wolfgang,
I'm Kyler Wolfgang.
and we just wanted to give a quick introduction before we start this podcast off. First of all, we wanted to apologize for the lack of video. We did film this podcast, but we had troubles editing it together. So next time we'll definitely have our video dialed in, but for now it's just going to be audio. But without further ado, today's guest is someone who Kyler and I both tremendously respect and are proud to call one of our good friends and mentors in life, Christopher Schneider. Chris Schneider, aka the mayor of Printers Alley. Chris is a father, grandfather. He's a veteran. He also served almost 2 decades as SWAT on law enforcement, and he's a successful businessman and entrepreneur. And with all that being said, if you enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, and then comment where your favorite part of the podcast is. We'd love to see what you guys have to say about it. And without further ado, let's get into the interview.
Yeah. All right, so we're here today with Chris Schneider, aka the mayor of Printers Alley.
Yeah.
And yeah, we know you a little bit. We respect the hell out of you. But for whoever's watching, they don't know you. So if you could just give us a quick little background of what life experience you have, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, and I'm here to support you guys any way I can. My name is Chris Schneider. I kind of grew up in Chicago, Chicago boy, grew up in the city, and then moved out to the suburbs, high school, and then I knew third grade I was going to be a cop. That's nothing else I wanted to do. That was my career. And 20 years old, joined the United States Army, and went into the military police, get my jump on law enforcement. And I just had a pretty rewarding career on doing law enforcement. And in the military, I got pretty fortunate to be stationed and doing what they call garrison duty. So I wasn't on the field. I was able to write tickets, making arrests, and then went over to the drug suppression team. And when a sergeant ran the drug suppression team out in Fort Irwin, California, in the middle of Mojave Desert, where all the troops were doing all the training. I worked undercover for CID out there. And then when I was working for CID, I met a guy working major narcotics for Anaheim PD. And my goal was to do my military time, get out, go back to Chicago, be a Chicago cop. And then my friend from Anaheim working major narcotics said, "Oh, come to Anaheim." At the time, I didn't know where Anaheim was back then. So I said, just for the hell of it, I went in there, took the test. Next thing I know, 2 weeks later, I get a letter accepting me. PD, went to Orange County Sheriff's Academy, and ended up spending 26 years with Anaheim. 17 of those years, I was working on SWAT team, doing assistant team leader work there and planning stuff. So it was good. It was a lot, that was a lot of fun. That was probably the best time of my life working SWAT. And then as years went on, while I was on SWAT, I had the opportunity to partner with some other people in business to do our own training academies, and we travel all around, not only to mostly departments all around California. We trained some machine gun snipers. I was a rappel master, trained other rappel masters from other departments, and then went to Haiti for a couple times to train their hostage rescue team over there for the ISATAP program. And then after Anaheim, or while I was still working Anaheim SWAT team, I met some folks with a company called 511 Tactical. And so they invited me to help. I was actually one of their first models, which was kind of funny thing back in the day.
Yeah.
In 2003, that flew me around different places, and they had all this new gear and cool gear of covert, concealed carry clothing and watches and holsters and boots and bags. And we'd be sitting in these product development meetings with guys from special forces and fire and police officers, and we'd be picking apart existing other brands and other companies. What do you like about it? What you don't like about it? So it was a very cool creative process in how a lot of 511 Tactical was. So I had a little part in that, helping them and giving my feedback and then wear testing. And then 10 years I was doing that while I was still in the police department. And as they changed hands and new people came in, they knew me from the work I did with 511. And they said, "Hey, would you like to come over and work for us and leave the department and come and work for us full time?" And I said, "No." And he talked me into a year later. I finally said, okay. And I took the position as executive director, agency relations for 511, and worked out in marketing, and ultimately switched over senior director for marketing and started opening retail stores for 511. Ultimately, I did 65 grand openings, and every week we're flying to another city and opening up store. So it was a lot of fun
That's
too.
cool.
And then I did that for about 10 years, right at 10 years. And then my CEO, guy who was probably the biggest business mentor I've ever met in my life. Tom went over to Black Rifle Coffee Company, and he asked me to come over there, senior director of marketing for there, and went over for a little bit. By then, I had already moved to Tennessee in 2017, and I bought a house out here, and I was trying to get into retirement mode. And then so I ended up retiring, and then staying retired, and I got bored, and then started doing some other projects, and got into the whole On the Road Spice Company deal, and that's where launching that, which we launched a little while ago.
Yeah,
that's kind of in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we're gonna get into a little bit of those where they're applicable, and I definitely want to go over these towards the end of the podcast and talk about what you're doing now with these spices here, because it's pretty cool, I think. So I guess like a big question that I have for anyone is, what was maybe a defining moment in your childhood or just in your young adult life that really paved a specific way for you think?
I think I've always been a worker. When I was young, I had 3 newspaper routes, and I would be sweeping floors off a barbershop floor and anything. I just love the work, and I like the fact of you working, you get paid, you get money, and earn my own keep and stuff. That's how we brought up. Good parenting of work hard, much like you guys. I know a lot about you and your family. Same kind of thing. Good role models in your life of keep you on the right path and be a hard worker and treat everybody nice. So most of these things that we kind of just talked about were projects that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to go to 511. I didn't want to go to Black Rifle. I didn't want to do the On the Road Spice Company. People, come on, you got to do this. You got to do this. I'm like, I don't want to do it. And then now I'm in. But once I'm in, I'm committed. I'm in 100%. So there's a couple other investment projects I'm working on with some friends, and they're like twisting my arm. Come on. My biggest problem is it's hard for me to say no.
Yeah.
I just come on, you gotta do this.
I understand.
Okay, so
I'm the same way. Sometimes I struggle to say no too. We were just talking about that. Weaknesses, I would say, is we get so determined on doing something or like finding an opportunity, and then as soon as something comes and presents itself, we hop on it, and then we get in it, and it's like, oh, is this really who we are and like the best?
Yeah, that's how it's been working out for us as of now.
And it's difficult because when you're if you have a pretty good personality and you're a very social person, you like doing things for other people. And that's me. I like people do things for me. That's another weakness I guess I have. I like doing it myself, and I like doing it for others, but I don't like people do stuff for me. So it's hard when you're asking people, you're doing stuff for people, and you're into doing a lot of free stuff, and it's a lot of your time, or it takes time maybe from your family, your other projects. So you have to be a multitasking manager, time management. But a lot of that stuff goes where then I look back and see these people, and my friends tell me, saying, man, these guys are making all this money. You're doing it for free. You should be charging. That's not my style. If someone needs help with something, I'll do it. But I've done that for pretty much most of my career. And I try to stay in my little happy place. So
I think it all comes around in the end, being that way.
And right now for us, like if we do something like that, it's just always a learning experience.
Yeah.
We're learning constantly.
All the time. All the
2
time.
steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm curious on like to get to know you better as far as like what defines you is like what are a couple of your core values?
I really believe that, like I said earlier, be a hard worker. You need to be a hard worker and commit the time into it. I'm the kind of guy that doesn't sleep very much. I live on 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and my mind's always spinning. I think I have partial ADD where I'm running a million miles an hour, but I'm really good at plate spinning. That's what we used to call where you start at one end, spin a plate, and you're doing several projects, and by the time you're at the end, you got to run back and put more power in the other plates and keep spinning. And so I do that. So my part of that is just really taking care of people. I really like taking care of people. Being in law enforcement, I've been in law enforcement for 32 years. I did 26 years with Anaheim Police Department, and then 5 years in the military. And most of the time, you're going to calls that you don't want to be at, and you're walking into situations that are not very good experiences. Nobody calls you over for milk and cookies. If they're calling you, it's a problem. they're calling you and you're a SWAT team, it's even a bigger problem. So you're seeing a lot of bad things and negative things in people's lives, and walking in homes that are a shamble, and the kids, and everything from being victimized from robberies, molestations, and rapes and murders. So that takes a toll on you where you look at that. So when you step out of that and go home to your own family, you want to see positive things. If people say, "Oh, did you ever see this TV show?" What was it show Cops and stuff? I said, "I didn't watch that." You're there for 12 hours a day watching it. I don't need to see it. I've already been there and done that. So I think just trying to really be positive. I like to feel myself as a big optimistic and make other people's lives better. I try to make my life good, but more I like to see other people do better. I did that in my whole 26 or 32 years in law enforcement, and I also do it in my personal life too. Is if I could do something for somebody and make their life better, then that makes me happy, and that's what really makes me tick.
Yeah, it's good. Going off that, how have like those? You kind of explained that a little bit, but how have your past experiences like? How does that translate the way you process things and receive things like now? Yes, has life
Yeah, like
mattered?
just another way to word that. Just how do your experiences and that all that negativity? How do you kind of take those and apply those to your life? Not obviously you're not applying the negative, but you see what can like how other people's lives are. How do you take that and kind of roll that into your life and use that to shape the way you act in your life so that those things don't happen?
I think part of that is training. If you're going and you're working for actually a good department, you're going with good training and understanding how to deal with situations. A lot of this is also by experience. You touch a hot stove and it's hot and burns your fingers. And fuck, I don't want to do that again. So you learn by your mistakes, but more importantly, watch other people and learn by those guys' mistakes.
Okay.
If he had a bad experience doing it, you don't need to go there and do it. So really look around what's around you. Watch what other people are doing. Don't fall into that trap. If you're always doing the right thing, things are going to be better for you. If you do the right thing, things are going to be happy for everybody around you. So it's hard because when you're young dumb cop driving pursuits with your hair on fire, like your hair's on fire, you get sucked into this tunnel vision on doing this. And sometimes you need to slow your life down and look and see what else is going around you. If you're only focusing here, you're not seeing everything that's going around here. Mm-hmm. That goes from everything from officer safety and everything in your life. You need to stop, like they say, stop and smell the roses. Same kind of thing, but you need to be able to look behind you. Now, my philosophy too is you're looking ahead. You're looking through, like in a car, you have your windshield. The windshield's like this big. Mm-hmm. The rear view mirror is this big. There's a lot of people, they go through bad experience and negativity, and you steer in that rear view mirror. And if you keep looking at their rear view mirror, you're going to crash. Yeah. You need to be looking in the big windshield ahead of you. It's okay to glance back at that rear view mirror and see where you've been and make sure you're back on track. But you can't be staring in that rear view mirror. You're going to crash your car. Look ahead and see what's open to you and what doors are open. Take opportunities. I think you and I talked. I think we talked about the red car theory before, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Red car theory. Yep.
The red car theory. You're driving down the road. If I said you guys came over here today, how many red cars do you see on the highway coming? So, maybe probably 2 or 3. But if I told you I'll give you $100 for every red car you see, I bet you see a lot of fucking cars.
Yeah. A lot.
So you're up to 1,000 because you're counting, because you're looking. So that red car theory is opportunities for you, and you're supposed to be looking. Everything, there's an opportunity everywhere you do it to either better yourself, better your career, better people around you. You should be looking at the opportunities all around you. And some make sense and know where the limit is. I mean, you can't. You're going to set your goals and your anchor points and where you want to be in your life and measuring, make sure they're achievable, and see how you go with that. We'll try.
No, that's all right.
But you need to measure and set goals, in line. If you're not achieving where you need to be at a certain time, maybe you need to stop what you're doing, reevaluate your plan, and change your plan. If you're going and making all your mile markers, that's what I meant to say. Your mile markers are going. You're hitting your mile markers and you're driving straight through. But you need to stop and at every mile marker and make sure everything's still going the way you're planning on it. If you don't, change your plan up and go. And again, you're looking left, you're looking right, you're looking behind you, just seeing where your life's going and who's involved in your life. the other thing too is I could compliment a lot of people. Say, man, a new person comes into my circle of friends, and I introduce them to other people. Say, man, you got some really good friends. All your friends are great people. I don't let shitty people in my life. You have your circle, and even if I don't like somebody and they're over, maybe we're having dinner or having a barbecue, I don't really care for that person. I don't disrespect that person, treat them bad. They probably won't be invited back again, but you are nice to people. And people say, I just don't like shitty people in my life. And you got to really focus on the nicer people you hang around with, the more successful people you hang around with, it helps you. And that's what helped me. Like I said, I had mentors in my life that I would have never even thought about going on this path until someone said, I see what you can do. I know what your abilities are. You are good for this. I want you in this. And I'm like, okay. So I went from no to go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think you had mentioned something in that where that kind of popped this question in my mind because it's specific to kind of what Kyler and I have been talking about the last few days. We've been doing some not soul searching, but just exactly what you were talking about, evaluating, like looking through that front mirror, looking left and right, and kind of evaluating where we're at, where we're trying to go next, and how we want to do that. But as we had mentioned, we're kind of been running into some walls lately, and like Kyler said, those are all just life lessons for us. We're young. We're going to make mistakes. We know that. That's okay. But in your life, when opportunity comes around, how do you personally gauge opportunity to tell whether or not that opportunity is worth taking or right for you to take, and the opportunities that might be, it's good, but it's just not. I probably shouldn't go that route.
I think I look at the concept of risk versus benefit, right? So you could take a chance at something and be like, hey, this is where if I do this, it could happen. But if it doesn't go my way, what else could go wrong? And I think another mentor that I used to watch, and he was big on the speaking circuit, was a guy named Gordon Graham, who's a CHP captain, California Highway Patrol captain, and lawyer. And he'd go around speaking about risk management. And it wasn't the same type of risk management you ever see, but basically, if you see something, what he had a saying is, what can go wrong, not that's wrong, what can go wrong will go wrong. But he used to say, if it's predictable, it's preventable. If you see something, yeah, that could happen, then you should know better, and you probably shouldn't go that route. If you're standing on railroad tracks and you hear a train and you hear the horn, choo choo, coming by, get off the fucking track because the track's not going to come. You should know that's going to happen. If it's predictable, it's preventable. And I kind of always think about that. It teaches you how to make the right decisions. Going back is that you weigh out your risk versus benefit, and how much time you're willing to commit to it before you say, hey, this is not going to work and stuff. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of things I didn't want to do. And when I was leaving the police department, or joining the Army, when I joined the Army, I'm 20 years old. I really left home. Here I am, next thing you know, in basic training in Fort McClellan, Alabama. Don't know anybody, shave my head and sit and eat a turkey leg on Thanksgiving for the first time without my family. I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Yeah. And here 5 years later, I'm on. When I decided to leave the police department and go into the private sector and go to 5-1 tactical, I struggled with that. And it was scary because I had a family and I got a paycheck, and to leave that and risk, because now
where we're trying to go next and how we want to do that. But as we had mentioned, we're kind of been running into some walls lately, and like Kyler said, those are all just life lessons for us. We're young. We're going to make mistakes. We know that. That's okay. But in your life, when opportunity comes around, how do you personally gauge opportunity to tell whether or not that opportunity is worth taking or right for you to take, and the opportunities that might be, it's good, but it's just not. I probably shouldn't go that route.
I think I look at the concept of risk versus benefit, right? So you could take a chance at something and be like, hey, this is where if I do this, it could happen. But if it doesn't go my way, what else can go wrong? And I think another mentor that I used to watch, and he was big on the speaking circuit, was a guy named Gordon Graham, who's a CHP captain, California Highway Patrol captain, and lawyer. And he'd go around speaking about risk management. And it wasn't the same type of risk management you ever see, but basically, if you see something, what he had a saying is, what can go wrong, not that's wrong, what can go wrong will go wrong. But he used to say, if it's predictable, it's preventable. if you see something, and yeah, that could happen, then you should know better, and you probably shouldn't go that route. For example, if you're standing on railroad tracks and you hear a train and you hear the horn, choo choo, coming by, get off the fucking track because the track's not going to come. You should know that's going to happen. If it's predictable, it's preventable, and I kind of always think about that. It's again, it teaches you how to make the right decisions. Going back is that you weigh out your risk versus benefit, and how much time you're willing to commit to it before you say, hey, this is not going to work and stuff. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of things I didn't want to do. And when I was leaving the police department, or joining the Army, when I joined the Army, I'm 20 years old, never really left home. Here I am, next thing I know, in basic training in Fort McClellan, Alabama. Don't know anybody, shaved my head and sitting eating a turkey leg on Thanksgiving for the first time without my family. I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Yeah. And here 5 years later, I'm like, when I decided to leave the police department and go into the private sector and go to 511 Tactical, I struggled with that. And it was scary because I had a family and I got a paycheck, and to leave that and risk, because now I'm pretty secure in making good money at the police department, but I'm getting a better opportunity to make more money. And I want to get out. I did that for 26 years with the city, move over to something else. But what happens if you're at will? They could say, hey, you're not working out, see you later. And what am I going to do that? Where's my paycheck? How am I do my mortgage and stuff? It's like a very scary point. And you have to really evaluate and say, here's what I'll do, and make your plan and say, what if it doesn't work? So, and then leaving it, just buying a house is probably the most scariest people to do it. If you're young and you're buying your first brand new car, there's all those things, but if you don't look at those and tackle those and address them, you're never going to get anywhere in your life. I grew up with a lot of people that still in high school, they stayed in the same spot they were. They don't move off the block. They stay in the same neighborhood. They never travel around the world. They stay in their little box. You need to step out of the box. But again, remember, if it's predictable, it's preventable. Make sure you plan your route and know it's, weigh out the risk versus benefits and stuff like that too.
So you said that you opened multiple different branches or like businesses in that 501,
511 Tactical.
Multiple different.
Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Oh, that's the Black Rifle.
Well, the 511 is different. The 511 Tactical it's a tactical apparel company. So initially, it was just police, fire, military related stuff, and you couldn't buy your stuff if you weren't in that police, fire, military channel, right? And then when the company was sold, the new company wanted to expand and more in the outdoor apparel and outdoor lifestyle. And so they decided to go to retail, and they never had any stores. Everything was really bought online. As they started offering lines, again, another mentor of mine, Jeff Roberts, was just a brilliant guy. His concept was to build these retail stores for 511. He had the green light, and ultimately I went over to work for marketing over retail. And basically did the dog and pony show. We'd fly into a grand opening, and our goal was to drive traffic to the store. So we'd come up with great marketing concepts to drive people in there. For instance, out of 65 stores, we never had, I don't think, less than 300 people waiting outside the store, and anywhere from 3 to 15 people, 3 to 20 would be camping out overnight, not just for one night, but for 2 nights, 3 nights. To me, I think the only 2 companies I've ever heard of anybody standing in that big line in the cold, when we opened 3 stores in Chicago, 17 degrees, snowing. I had a line of people camped out overnight for 3 days. So only companies I ever heard of doing that is when the new iPhone comes out, or the Nike shoes are coming out. Besides that, I knew anything. So we had to figure out how do we create this momentum and do this. And part of it was we were doing giveaways. We were our brand was really kind of badass. And because remember, when we started, it was police, fire, military, special operations guys, all FBI, Secret Service, SWAT teams. They only were, so nobody else was allowed to have it. So it was those guys, other people, they really wanted that stuff. So it was kind of fun. They're like, 511 stores opening. We put up the signs, we posted on social media, we put the marquees out on the highways and signs, and then we do giveaways. So the first 50 people in line got gift cards valued up to $511. So like the first 3 people in line that were there got gift cards for $511. And then the next 10 got $100. The next 15 got $25, or it was $100 and $50, $25, and the last 25 people, not 25 people got $25 gift cards. It created a sensation. People were there. We had people literally travel from one city, and when we opened another store a couple months later, we'd see those same people in line in the store. I think the record was there was a group of guys. He's got a couple Navy SEALs. Met them in Virginia Beach when we opened a store there. And then I see them in San Diego. I saw them in Arizona. And they were like, hey, we're going to get a restraining order for stopping us. And it was a lot of fun, but they were great guys. And, we were going to break the record. I think they did 5 stores. So ultimately, I ended up doing the grand opening setup. And the grand opening was a lot of fun. I would bring Bagpiper out to play Amazing Grace in tribute to all the fallen police officers, fire and military, public safety, and play Amazing Grace. We've always had a national anthem singer come out there, sing the national anthem, and then we've got national anthem bagpipers, and it was a lot of fun, and people really had respect. I mean, you got to remember, this is a company that's really was built on first responders and military people, so it's a big thing, and they're very supportive on that. So, but we did some great openings. I did 65 openings when I was there. I think they're at 120, 130 stores now. That's insane. I think
That's awesome.
they kept growing too.
I've seen one of them, and I forget where it was, but I've seen the 511 Tactical store.
Yeah,
in
I
the
used to
city.
buy from there.
There's
Oh,
one
yeah.
here in Nashville.
Yeah.
I'm like, open that one there too. Did grand opening. I did grand opening 65, so most of them. First 65 stores, some grand openings and stuff.
Okay. Sweet.
So there's 3 franchise ones that were, so they're all corporate owned except for 3. And probably one of the most interesting ones I did was we did one with Carl Malone. He's called the Mailman. He played for Utah Jazz, Hall of Famer, great family guy, and great super supportive military. I mean, one of the strongest military and police supporters you ever meet in your life, and a family is the same way. Great people, and he played for Lakers and Utah Jazz, and he was big up in Salt Lake City when he played for Jazz. Opened a bunch of businesses up there, but he's from Louisiana, and he worked with our CEO on wanted to do a franchise. He opened a franchise down in Louisiana near New Orleans and Metairie, and I went down and did his grand opening for him too. And he just to watch him, he's so such an honorable guy and so plugged into the military and first responders. It's just amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You're like, I love to see athletes and patriots actually acting that way publicly, because I feel like nowadays that's not as common as it probably should be. So I love to see. Yeah, real quick. I did hear that click.
I can't stop pounding on the table because I'm sure it's going to be really loud.
Oh, it's fine. We can edit it and mess around.
Yeah, it's cut off right there.
Is it good now?
Yeah, it's going again.
How much? Where do it lead at?
Or like time?
Oh,
No,
just
like
did you hear a click or
when
something?
you were
Yeah,
talking,
it-
it
oh.
like right as.
Yeah.
But those we can just go to that one and then cut it up together.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I think now that we're kind of in on that path anyway, it'd be cool to talk a little bit more about business, like specifically your experience in it, but also just advice that you might have for young businessmen and women doing their thing that are trying, like us, that are trying to make businesses, trying to be entrepreneurs and get out there and do something different than just a typical 9-to-5 thing. So I guess I would just kick it off with, I mean, you've done a lot in your life with business, and you've opened helped open and found 2 badass companies that I loved before I ever met you. So what would be your number one piece of advice when it comes to business in general, not just marketing and sales, but just business in general?
I think, like I said, when Tom hit me up and wanted me to leave the police department, come over to the 511 Tactical, I said, this is the company I always want to work for, but I was very nervous about leaving a secure job and going there. So, but I really believed in him, and I knew his background. And to answer your question, people you follow and people you pick as mentors, you need to know their background, their history. You know that they're going to take you to the next level. Like loyalty, you have trust and loyalty. I would fall on a sword for the guy. I mean, he became, like I said, one of my biggest mentors and taught me so much in business between him and Jeff. And then even over to Black Rifle, you got Evan. You know, these guys are all the founders are all military special forces guys and work for the company. And you know, here they are doing this and working military and grew such a multi-million-dollar company and stuff.
Yeah.
They're just smart, but they got that way. Evan and Tom, they didn't do it by sitting and waiting for it to fall in their lap. Those guys worked their asses off and poured it in, and they risk a lot, on what they have. You know, again, when you commit so much time, that takes away from your family. You have to have a good balance. So you're committing and spending time with your family, but you're also putting the time in. It takes a lot of time to grow a business and move. You got to commit a lot of time, and then the people that are around you, you got to have trust with each other and have good relationships with them, and you're treating people nice. If you really take care of other people, they're ultimately going to take care of you. And if they don't, then they kind of get out of that circle that we talked about on your circle.
Talking about like loyalty and going back to your friend group about how when people meet your friends, they say like these are a great group of people. Was that something that you ended up developing like over time, or were you like always just very pickative on like who your friends are and kind of?
I think you learn both over time, but over time is because you've been burned.
Yeah.
You know, you see people do stupid shit. You know, people do stupid shit and they wrong you. Or you see, like I said, learn from other people's mistakes. They don't have to be. You learn by your mistakes, but I could watch somebody else. When I was an assistant team leader on the SWAT team, I saw a lot of stupid shit going on, and I'm like, or when I was training, I was training a lot of students, 1,000 people doing rappel master school and sniper schools and submachine gun schools. And there were guys that were very proficient, and there were guys that weren't so good. And your job as an instructor, not to just take care of the guys know what they're doing. You got to take that guy that doesn't know and bring him up to the right level. Mm-hmm. If he can't get to the level, then he's probably removed. But you're committing a lot of time to get him up that level. And some people aren't made for everything, whether it's in the military or law enforcement or business. You can be a great guy. Say, hey man, I like you. You're a fun guy. I love to have a beer with you, but you're not SWAT. We'll go have a beer, but you're not SWAT. Yeah. It's just, you got to realize not everybody's fit for that. You can say, oh, this might, and sometimes I watch guys we had to kind of give the kick off the team because they just weren't cutting it. And they didn't fit with each other. You have a close bond with your team members that you have to trust each other. If my responsibility is here, I'm not paying attention here because I have a guy who's supposed to be, I'm trusting him to do this, to watch my six. You got to be able to trust these people. And if you can't trust them, then they have to probably take a walk.
Yeah.
To do that. So you learn by other people's mistakes, you learn by your mistakes. If someone burns you, you got to decide whether you have to give that person an opportunity to make it up. Some things there's zero tolerance with, and then other times you might kind of remediate and give that person a little pep talk and kick in the ass and move them back in line.
So, yeah, that's one thing. Like, as far as friends down here, I mean, we had plenty of friends like in Bozeman, but down here, I find us being a lot more just like selective. As far as like, are you someone that I want to dedicate time to, I guess, as far as, I don't know.
I think that's another cool thing about what you had mentioned earlier about getting outside of your box. I think that is so huge, and I think that everyone needs to do that. I don't care where you're from. Like, I know people, I don't personally know people, but I know of plenty of instances where people grew up in a big city like New York or Miami, but if you just stay there forever, that big city gets a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And then you just stay in that small box. You never get outside of your comfort zone. I think that when we decided to move down here, that was probably the first best decision that we ever made in our lives. First of many, I'm sure, but because we got to kind of restart. We left all of our friends, we left our family, and we get to choose which ones of those people are worth staying in contact with and which ones maybe like we still love you and we're appreciative of like the role that you played in our life at that time, but now we're here and we get to kind of start over. And when we meet people, it's not just, hey, we go to school together, let's be friends. It's more of like, what are you into? What do you do? What can you offer? And it's not, when I say what can you offer, it's not like everyone we meet has to have something to offer, but it is, you have to have something positive to contribute to my life. You got to pour into my cup and not take out of it all the time. And I think that that is a huge reason why everyone needs to get outside of their comfort zone, outside of their little box, where they're from.
Different friends have different roles in your life too. Not everybody's the same, has the same level of friendship and do. You know, I have different friends and have different meanings to me. And they have different closenesses because of how we relate to each other and commons. Whether it's, I could have in politics, one side and the other side. I'll still be friends with some people, but I keep a certain distance.
Yep, I understand.
But there's other people, and don't hang around with shady people. And if you see, you know, if you in your stomach, you get the gut feeling that something's wrong and it doesn't seem right, you should probably reevaluate and step out on that too. But that for you guys believing in what you did, making a new change, that's a big step. Yeah. And you know, you're probably getting the butterflies. What is we moving? Yeah, I mean, like, are we doing the right thing? What are we doing? So you got to remember too, as you start meeting other people, there's 3 types of people in this world. I mean, you have the top third, the middle third, and the bottom third. Those top thirds are the high achievers. They're the academias and the scholarship guys. They're getting full ride scholarships for football, basketball, baseball, or volleyball or softball. They 100% time they can commit. They don't have time for any other bullshit in the background. You know, they focus on where they want to go. Same thing. I know same thing. People with good businesses, they're focusing on where they need to go. That's the top third. You have the middle third are kind of in between there, but middle third are people I hang around in the middle third are still more towards the top. But then every once in a while, like, I'm not gonna do my homework, or I think I'm gonna play hooky, or I'm gonna call in sick from work. So every once in a while, I'll do that. Where the high achievers, the top ones, stay home. There's no bullshit. Hey, I'm here. They know what you're supposed to be doing. But the middle third is there. The problem you have is you run into these people that are called the bottom third. And the bottom third are bloodsuckers. And they will suck the life and energy out of you. These are people that belittle people, they berate people, they troll people. And in order for a bottom feeder and low tier person like that to survive, they have to grab and latch on to the nearest thing to them, which is the middle third. And they'll pull those person down. They're not struggling to pull them down to their level. And they'll suck the blood from them to live. They'll suck the life out of them, they'll pull them. You'll see this in a lot of domestic violence issues, where wife is battered, whatever, and then they pull them down and they manipulate them, they build them up and they break them down, build them back. And they'll suck the life and energy out of you, and they can't get out. Once you get in, it's like being in quicksand. You can't get out anymore. They pull you down under the ground till you feel like you're lost and you can't get out of it. So my suggestion is you need to find good people that are successful and they're doing well, and you learn from them, and they're basically good role models and mentors for you in not only business, but your business and your lifestyle and your personal life. And that's what you need to do. Stay away from those low people and don't listen to them. Have people come, and I consider myself, I do okay, you know, and I've made some good investments. I made some bad investments too, but I had some gal that didn't have a pot to piss in. I was investing in some stocks in a company. Oh, you should invest in the stocks. And stocks. I'm like, this woman doesn't own a house, doesn't own a car, doesn't own this. I'm like, why would I take business advice from you when you haven't done anything? Yeah. So that's what we mentioned earlier. Go back and look at that person, know their background, where they came from, and the likability that you're going to achieve and succeed are probably higher, right? Yeah. Than you hang around with somebody who doesn't know. For her to tell me, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this. I see a lot of even coaching. It's like going to a gym and hiring a fitness coach that weighs 250 pounds and they're sipping on it. You guys go to gym every day. Yes, and you see that, that's your coach. I'm like, that's who I'm willing to look forward to. I'm like, I couldn't do it, you know? And I hired a coach one time, and they were good. But I like to get up early. I want to go to the gym and do my workout. And so I have the rest of the day. But when they're late and they're not showing up, that was a problem for me. I'm like, you're supposed to be motivating me. Yeah. And you're not motivating me. Well, why would I want to follow you? I need somebody that I really have a lot of respect for. Mm-hmm. And you got to find those people. And that's what really has got me to where I'm at now, where I really build, I hang around with great people because I trust them and they're good for me. They make me happy being around. And we have a lot of fun together too, you know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. May your prayers out. Anyway.
Stay away from the bottom third.
Yes.
Those are people that you like to eat the popcorn and watch the shit going on and watch the shit show go on, but you don't want to be in the shit show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one thing we're super blessed. I feel like is we kind of got out of that.
We did. Yeah, no, we definitely got away from that.
As far as just partying every weekend. Not to say that's what Montana is, but everyone I know is just partying every weekend, doing the same thing.
Well, it's okay to go have fun. I mean, you know me, I go out party and I'm out till 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're not having a ball of fun until you end up at a Waffle House at 3:30. Right? Yeah. We do the Schneider 500.
Yep, yeah.
We have all our bars we go to.
I know.
And we do that. We do the whole gamut. We run the 500, and we're here. We're having dinner here. We have drinks here. We're on the rooftop here. We're here. And the next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's go. We're in the Waffle House. They see you next week. Yep. So it's okay to do that, but you got to balance your life.
Yeah.
So
it's okay to have fun and do that, but then exactly what you said, like come Monday, it's back.
It can't be a habit, and you, like I said, that bottom third people drive you in. That's where you have the addictions, where people, you know, you run into the drug addicts and addictions, and people just doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and you need to stay out of that realm.
Yeah,
it's okay to have fun, and you should go have fun and have a good balance in your life.
Yeah, and I don't want to I'm trying not to ask the same question because that's not what I'm getting at, but with specifically the bottom third people that you talk about, like you laid out kind of what they do and how they might affect you, but what would be maybe like one or two real examples of behavior that someone who might not be aware of what that would look like, what's some behavior in a bottom third person that they can look for to recognize?
I think you notice those people. I mean, with severe bottom feeders, you'll see them right. Ethics. I mean, things that if they're not ethical and they don't have your belief in whether your religious faith or your business attitude, and they don't fit in that where you want to go. All those people are doing is holding you down. They're stopping you where you need to go, and they're slowing you down. And the people in your life that are pulling and dragging on you, pulling on you, and they won't let you, or they second guess. Like, oh, that's stupid. You shouldn't be doing that. You're never going to do this. And they're negative. They're dream squashers. Yeah. Now, you go back and look at them. What have they accomplished? If they haven't accomplished shit, then why would I listen to them? Why would I focus on them? So you'll see those people. They're ethically, they don't do good things in their life. You know, they don't have a good faith in God. They're not respected by their families. Their other friends. They have a hard time shuffling from friend to friend. Yeah. You know, you'll see, and you'll know. Yeah. You'll know the people I'm talking about right off the get-go. Absolutely. And the thing is, when you run into those other people, like I say, that middle third, I don't mean to say if they're bad, they're good people. These are the hard workers that drive forward. They want to succeed. If you're in an opportunity to reach down and pay it forward and grab them and pull them up to your level. You know, if somebody comes in my life, I'll give them an opportunity. Like when I met you guys, I knew right away what hard workers you are. I know your family background. I said, no, we're in, and you became not only friends but family to do this. Absolutely. Same thing you offer. If somebody offers an opportunity for you, and you're going to later on have an opportunity to help somebody else the same way, you do that. Now they fuck it all up, and they get, I watch I hate to say kids, 30-year or 40-year-olds on drug habit, heroin addicts, literally while their old man's watching television in the living room, eating off his snack tray, his breakfast, the drug addict comes in there and unplugs the TV, wraps it up and takes it out, sells for $10 of heroin. And the dad's like, well, that's my son, I don't know what to do. It's called tough love. Those are people you've got to let out of your life. It's a cancer, and it's going to go. And this stuff's been going on for years with this stuff. It didn't just happen overnight. Yeah. Yes. You go to a call. I would go to a lot of domestic violence calls or fights, and a lot on the holidays. You go to Thanksgiving, and all the family members come over, and you just say you bring Uncle Ted over. You haven't seen the guy in 15 years, but you thought, it's Christmas time. We need Uncle Ted to be in the family for our family. And you invite them over. Next thing you know, there's chairs going through the windows and people getting beat up and fighting, and the furniture's broken up and dishes are being broken, and the police come in and knock on the door and say, well, I don't think Christmas is always the right time to invite somebody back over you haven't seen in 15 years. Maybe you should go meet for coffee. I can't solve your problem. I come to the door I can't solve your problem in 15 minutes
Yeah.
that you had for a problem for 15 fucking years, right? So maybe you should go have breakfast with them and go kind of ease into it, not just bring them all in, because I've seen disasters.
I'm sure.
And when I say chairs going through the windows, I mean chairs going through the windows. And I just tell them, man, I appreciate you trying to do this, and you have a heart of gold, but I can't fix 15 minutes what's been destroyed 15 years and stuff too. So
No, for sure. What would do you have a question you want?
I did, but it would change up the topic. So if you have something,
Well, I'm okay. I mean, I was gonna kind of take it like we've been talking about a lot of useful stuff for a lot of people, us included. But I think it would be fun to maybe interject, like, if you have one fun story from being a police officer that you want to tell. Like, I think that'd be interesting to hear.
I have a lot of them, but I don't know if I can tell them because I don't want to bring people. A couple might have been victimized as part of the joke, and I'm trying to think of how I would tell it without ratting them out of who they were. Let me just say this though: when I was on the SWAT team, and we had a new guy come on the SWAT team, you didn't just go in and guns blazing and kicking doors. When you were a new guy, your job till you went through a certified SWAT academy, and you had so many hours of training and going through, and we got you out to a certain level of tactics and shooting. You were what they call a vanguard. You'd be over by the SWAT truck, and you would just stand there with your rifle and gun while the real men were over there doing the job. You would just stand in the truck and guard so no one steals shit off your truck. Okay, you were a weapons guard, right? A weapon and vanguard. After you got graduated from being a weapons guard, vanguard, you would move over. You'd be a perimeter team.
Okay.
And you would just sit on a perimeter outside watching what's going on. And somebody took off, ran out the back door, and you call it out and see it. You on a perimeter team. It took you a while to get to where you were at on like an entry team, as we call it, assault team or entry team. So we would pick on, and hazing's really prohibited in a lot of places now, but it was fucking hazing. And if you look at it, and so when you were a new guy, you would also have to drive the truck, right? Okay. You drove the truck. And we would overemphasize what a fucked up driver you were. So when you made a right turn, everybody in the truck, you have 10 guys on one side on a bench seat, 10 guys on this side. And when he made a left turn, we'd all lean, whoa, and start screaming. Made a right turn, whoa. When he hit the brake, we'd all fall forward, over-exaggerate. What the fuck's wrong with you? And we did that to everybody new coming on the team. And we just razz them and do stuff. Or we'd suddenly go back to the van and go, I told you to get this and not that. And it was just a lot of harassment to see if they thicken their skin up and stuff like that. Yeah. We had what we call a initiation during, it's called a prairie fire. And when you're new on a team, you had to do a shot of prairie after training. We'd go to one of these Mexican restaurants up the road, and the whole team would go there and eat after work. And it's like 11 o'clock at night. And we would do prairie fire, which is a shot of the shittiest tequila that you can get. Most likely Jose Cuervo, and a full shot of Tabasco sauce.
Nice.
And you mix that together with prairie fire, and you have to drink it. And the rule is you got to down it, and it can't leave your lips. And if you didn't drink it, you couldn't throw up either. If you threw up or you didn't drink it, then your team leader had to drink it. Drink one. Well, fucking, you didn't last on a team long if you're treating the team leader. I go drink a prairie fire. So we were doing that all the time. Then it got out of hand. It was just coming on. When you came on a team, you did one. When you left the team, you had to do one. Then it got really ridiculous. Oh, I bought a house. I got married. I got divorced. And next thing you know, the prairie fires. And I would be behind the bar making them all. And then I started seeing all these people get sick of I'm stepping back from this point before I fucking kill somebody. And I let one of the other assistant team leaders pull Evans to do bartend and stuff. But there was a lot of stuff. And I wouldn't want to embarrass other people on some of the stories. But
that's sweet.
Yeah, some funny shit.
Yeah, no, that's all fun.
Oh,
it's all good fun.
Yeah, you gotta build people up.
It's all good fun until somebody gets hurt.
Yeah. Luckily, sounds like no one maybe did. Hopefully not. But,
so you've always been the bartender in the group? Always checking up the drinks?
Prairie fires. And the thing with the prairie fires, that shit fucked you up all night. The rest of the night, your stomach's turning, burning, and then you're shitting fire for the next morning, waking up and stuff like that. We were teaching SWAT, a lot of SWAT academy. I taught a lot of classes traveled around different departments, and we be doing sniper or submachine gun classes. And these guys would go out drinking all night and then come back early so be on time. We get there early, and these guys could barely see. Like I remember one time this guy's behind the sight right now. I'm so hungover. I have such a headache. I don't feel good. Then we make them run. Go run until you puke it out. Come back and they'd be in there and these, we shoot 308s or 50 cal, and their heads and teeth were shaking and they're like miserable. So,
You can only imagine being hungover in that.
Oh,
yeah.
They ran them high. So we would be up before them, get set up, and then we'd put in bed at night and then be up and swim for a week or 2 weeks, depending which class we're teaching.
Sweet.
It's a lot of fun.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Where do we want to go?
This will change it up a little bit, but I'm curious on like what your definition of freedom is, because we were talking last night and came up with it. What was the definition we came up with? Basically,
Well, we'll go over that, but first I want to hear what your definition of freedom would be.
So I don't really have a written out definition what freedom is, but I enjoy my right and my liberties to do as I please, as long as I'm not hurting somebody else and I'm following the guidelines and respect the laws that we all agreed on doing. I like less government. Yep. I'm a real believer of Ronald Reagan's philosophy, and now I'll say it. I like the way Trump has got a big set of balls and doing stuff. People, this is something that we need to make changes. We're spending too much money and we're going in debt. And I know people feel, hey, we're just taking a hatchet or a chainsaw to this, but if you don't do it now, it's never going to get done.
Yeah.
And so people, I think the majority of people know this needs to be done. Not everybody likes the way how it's being done, but honestly, I don't see any other way to get it done. I just believe, like Ronald Reagan says, is that you need less government. The government should be telling us what to do. I literally left California almost 8 years ago, moved here to Tennessee because I like the way the state of Tennessee operates, and I like being in a conservative-minded state and a conservative-minded county where I live out here outside of Nashville, because I like to enjoy my life the way it is, and I like the room and be honored to I enjoy my Second Amendment rights. Yeah. I enjoy what I can do. I don't think the federal government should be telling you you need to do this and this. I think the state should have a lot more power. And if you don't like it here, then go move somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what It's nice that we live in a country where we have so many options. Like most countries are tiny compared to us, and you don't have you have like villages or what. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in other countries, but you can't really get away from it. It's your country, right? But here we have 50 different options, and they're all unique in their own way. So you do get to choose. And I think
if you don't like here, go move somewhere else. I specifically came here because I like the way the laws were. I like the way the people lived. I love the lifestyle. And so I think the biggest fear of people who live in Tennessee are afraid all the Californians and all the liberals are going to come here and turn this into California. And I get that. When I moved here, and I wouldn't tell anybody I was living in California because people were very anti-California. And so they had to accept you and learn who you are and know your background. And you have to really tell them I left California because I didn't like the way things were going. I didn't believe the way the governor was working and where the money was going. My tax dollars that I paid, that I worked hard for, was going to spend something that I didn't believe in. And I just thought that was not for me. Yeah. And I decided to move out here. So
yeah, I think that's awesome. We talked about it last night and broke it down. Me personally, and I think Tyler agrees with this pretty well, but our definition of success is having the ability, or freedom, of freedom is to have the ability to choose to better your standing in life by taking on more responsibility. I think that's freedom to me. Because so many people think that freedom is just being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want to do it. And I mean, as much as that is freedom in a sense, it's not the freedom that it's not American freedom. I think American freedom is to have the opportunity and the ability to choose to do more by taking on more and making the right decisions. And I think that we're so lucky and blessed to live in a country where that is a choice we have, because it's not the same.
That's right. I mean, you look back when the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, and I'm all about the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment freedom of speech.
Mhm.
Well, then they did something that was so creative and created the Second Amendment, which was to protect the First Amendment.
Yes.
Right. So, and you know, imagine that where they were all coming from and living under, you know, dictatorships and monarchies and be able to create this. And that was a big step on where we came. We're still a young country, but still, we're going the right direction on where we need to go. And I just believe I believe in the Constitution and that we should have those freedoms. And I think one of the biggest things that was very anti-constitutional is the way the former administration handled things like COVID. They locked people up and they took away a lot of people's rights.
Yeah.
And because the government said that they were okay to do this, a lot of people believe that. And now look at where we're at now.
Yeah.
They're going back and seeing what really happened, and it opened a lot of people's eyes, and which is why we had a big turnover in politics. And like one of the reasons I think Trump got reelected is because people aren't going to go that direction anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's got worse. But even Democrats are doing that now. I don't want to get in the whole political things.
Yeah.
Cut that
But
out.
no, I understand. I thought it's easy when we're young I find myself differing and like figuring out new things about my opinions on certain topics all the time, like daily. Like or just like I'll say something out loud and then later that night I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I don't actually agree with what I kind of said. I think more this way. But I think that was an eye-opening time, and I think that it happened for a reason. I think that although during that time it felt like, why would this ever happen? Like, why would God allow this to happen, right? And now I look at it as like, I think that like God made that happen for a reason, because I think He put us through the ringer a little bit and let ourselves dig a hole that was deep, but not too deep. And I think that it did open a lot of eyes, and it all happened for a reason, because now I do think that we're kind of getting back on the right track and moving in a better direction now, which I think is really awesome to see. I think it's cool to live in a country where that is still a thing. It's not a thing everywhere.
I mean, to me, from where I sat, it's pretty simple. Evaluating what was going on. I mean, I don't even like to use the word pandemic. I use the word it's COVID because it was the name that somebody gave it of what was going on. And when the whole COVID thing was going on, we had so many people leaving all these other states, specific states, blue states, to move down here, and we were getting flooded. And the prices, I did good because I bought before. My property soared and went up, and I had houses downtown. Had 5 Airbnbs down in Nashville, and it was crazy. Next thing I know, there was a surge of people coming from California, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, New York, and all these people are coming in, and there was a reason why. We were down here during the pandemic. We were out here drinking, eating in restaurants here. You know, there were isolation pockets. Downtown Nashville was a little bit more controlled for a while, and not very long, where they said, "Oh, you can come in a restaurant, eat, but you have to sit down. You can't stand up." And then the musicians came back to the honky tonks and they're singing, and they were allowed to sing on there, but they couldn't stand up on the bar. Like COVID was hitting here, but not.
Right. Yeah. No, I know.
Down here. And so, but out here where I live, I chose to live down in Sumner County because it was. Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right. Is it beeping? You hear a beep or something?
I just hear the camera when I do this. I keep hearing that, and that means that it cuts
Shut
off.
off. Okay.
I think the battery's running a little low, so I have a different one I can throw in there real quick if we need.
Okay.
But for now, it should be all good.
So,
sorry, cut you
that's
off.
okay. So, I specifically moved to this county because it was a lot more conservative. But we were eating, dining, having like nothing ever happened. And this went on for a couple of years. All these people are locked down, and we didn't wear masks out here, and everything was fine. You know, I felt bad for some of the other people that were leaving and going through all this stuff. It was, we lived our normal lives over here, and everybody did fine. And I felt bad for a lot, mostly for the community, not just communities, but the businesses and small businessmen that ate them up.
Oh,
And a lot of people lost their businesses. And that was government that did that. And that the government shouldn't have control over that. You should be able to run your business and make your money. But I never understood, hey, you guys can keep the liquor stores open, but you can't open this business over here. You can't open a nail salon. And nothing really made sense.
No.
Again, not getting too deep into politics. This is just why I think that the states need to be able to control more for where you want to live. You live the lifestyle you want to live. So.
Yeah.
I feel bad for all the business owners, but also like seniors in high school or college.
Yeah,
they lost their
school. I think that definitely took a big hit on
Yeah.
the social ability of
For
kids like
sure,
our
the
age.
social
Definitely.
side of it definitely affected a lot of kids. And just everybody, honestly, being locked in the house for that long. No fun. Where you want to go from here?
I think, honestly, as much as I don't want to, I think we should sort of start to wrap it up because this phone is out of storage, so that's off now. We have these two. That's fine. This is Kyler's question, his favorite question. I'll let him ask it, but it's a good one.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, what's your definition of success, and how has that changed throughout your life?
I think success really boils down to being happy, and being happy is many with financially that you're stable. Hey, you got food on your table. I grew up with not a lot of money. We didn't live in a great, fancy house or anything like that. I grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment with 6 of us, my brothers and sisters, and we were happy. I never thought I was poor. My dad worked his ass off, and my mom worked, and we had what we had, and we didn't know anything different. So, financially, if you're happy financially, you're happy in your relationships, and you're happy with your family, that's success. It doesn't mean that you have to be a millionaire, and it doesn't. You just need to be happy, and you do whatever it takes to make you happy and the people around you happy. So, it doesn't matter what I like I said in law enforcement, I'd go to all these homes, and there were a lot of poor, low-income housing that I went into. They were happy. Like when I grew up, we didn't have all that, and the kids never thought of anything else. I see some very sad situations, but I think what happens is your success, how you view your success, is where you're at, and know that you're doing a lot better than where you were, or a lot better than other people. And you say, "Oh, I hate this," or "I like this." Go around and look around, like we talk about other countries, or right in your own neighborhood, and realize you're doing probably a lot better than a lot of other people, and that's success.
Yeah, it's funny because I've asked quite a bit of people that question. I like that question a lot. I don't know. I thought of it, and it's just a good gauge on as far as meeting people, asking that, and then see where they are, and where they want to go. But I've asked quite a bit of people, and I've had answers all over the board, but it always comes down to where they're happy, which is an interesting common ground in the word success.
Yeah, I think that is a reoccurring theme, is that one way or another it all ties back to happiness and being happy.
What they want to do. A lot of people are happy, and their definition of success, I see, is they just want to have an average life, but be happy with the people around them, which is awesome. I think, and then it goes from there all the way up to conquering the world. So
yeah. And well, real quick, let's tie this in here too. Let's talk about, because this is what you're doing right now. This is the next big thing in the seasoning game. So let's talk about what you got going on.
On a Road Spice Company. So it's funny, when I was working with 511, I used to fly up to Quantico, Virginia. 10 years, I'd fly up there and cook the biggest New York steaks, 1.25 pound each. We had a butcher up there in Virginia and DC area, and we call ahead, order steaks, and he hand cut all these. This is how big we want. They're gigantic. And then I'd fly. Back then I was living in California. I'd jump on a plane, fly out there, and on a charcoal grill. So we had 3 of them out there, about as big as this table. And we go up, pick up, secret knock in the back door at 6:30 in the morning, and outside Quantico, Virginia. It was actually at Costco, and the guy was a great guy. And we pick up all these steaks, 300 steaks we pick up, and throw them in. I'd rent a Suburban When I landed from the airport, go in the morning, pick up the steaks, and I drive Quantico to FBI Academy, and they have a course there called the FBI National Academy, where cities and counties from all over the world send their usually lieutenant and above. If you want to make chief in a department, you have to be a graduate of the National Academy. Most of them anyway, not all of them, but mostly from the United States, but there were other foreign countries there too. And they'd be on lockdown there for like 10, I don't know if it's 8 weeks, 7 weeks or something, what it is now. But they would go there and they'd live there and they'd be in mess halls and they'd go through command courses. They were, it was like a command college. Mm-hmm. And so they would attend at Quantico. And so we would sponsor a dinner there and we'd come out and cook the steaks. So I would fly out, cook the steaks, and use the seasoning. People like the seasoning. So I did that for 10 years. I did it 5 times a year. And I'd fly in, cook the steaks, jump on a plane, and fly back home. And it was exhausting. You know, like, I'd get on a plane stinking like steaks. And people, and barbecue smoke. I'd be smoked out. Probably. People are like, where the hell is this guy coming from? So anyway, after I left, a couple of years later, another guy I worked with there, the company, he said, hey, can we get recipes for your seasonings and stuff like that? I said, no, I'm not really. He goes, come on, we should bottle it and create it. I said, it's one of those things. No, I don't want to. So this went on for a while. He goes, come on, let's make the seasoning and do it. All these people want it. I said, okay. So we had what we call the original blend. It's good for chicken, fish, steak. We use it because we do steaks and chicken. We had some people that didn't want to eat red meat, so we always cook big, gigantic chicken breasts too. But it's good for everything. And vegetables. It's all-purpose seasoning. So he talked me into doing it, and we said, well, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it and make the money. I want to support a nonprofit. And one of the big nonprofits that I've been very in love and faithful to for probably 12 years now is Folds of Honor, and it's a great organization. They have chapters all over the country. Folds of Honor raises money for scholarships to pay tuition for all of children and spouses of those who military service members have been either killed or severely disabled, and also for the spouses to get them back on their feet and get their education and stuff. Mostly a lot of for kids, and I've been helping them raise money for that. So this is what I want to do. I want to donate money, profits to Folds of Honor, and so we decided to do it and pull the trigger. So we started with the original blend, which is good for steak, chicken. I use it on my eggs. I use it on my vegetables. It's just all around. It's probably my favorite seasoning out there. Awesome. But as we started going, we dealing with other stores. They said we need some other blends. We're not just original. So we created a couple other ones where we have the Bay Blend, which is seafood. Okay. And then we have the Zydeco, which is like a Cajun spice that we use on shrimp and fish and the jambalaya and things like that. And then we have the Mount Royal, which is a heavier steak seasoning and more for beef and stuff, beef and chicken. Okay. So different blends for high profiles. But the big thing about those is, and again, I want to do them different. And now with trying to eat healthy, they're all organic. All of them are gluten-free. And there's no GMOs, made in USA. And like I said, proceeds go to we support the Folds of Honor Foundation. All right. Yeah. So that just launched on Amazon. You can buy all 4 blends on Amazon, and like I said, we support Folds of Honor, and it's a good cause.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you guys have a website too, or
we do? OnTheRoadSpiceCompany.com, and then and we're on Amazon, but you could order directly online. But right now, it's quick to get on Amazon. It's the quickest way to go.
Sweet. Is this what we use at the Crawdad?
We've used the Zydeco.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. That's sweet.
Very similar stuff.
Well, then it started.
Yeah, eat healthy.
Yeah, it is.
Eat healthy, gluten-free, no GMOs, organic. Same cost as what the other ones they're non. And we took the hit on that and put the same pricing on. Actually, our portions are a little bigger in the jars than them, but you're not paying extra for organic. We're eating that on no GMO, organic, and gluten-free.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well,
buy it and help support Folds of Honor.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. Well, thank you. Honored to be here.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Good luck and be successful.
Thank you.
Yeah.